Bible in a minute, Exodus chapter 5. And now Moses and Aaron have gone to Egypt. God has overcome all of Moses' objections from chapters 3 and 4. And so they go to Egypt. Moses tells the people of Israel, God has sent me to redeem you. God is getting you out of Egypt. They're excited. They bow low and they worship. And so then Moses goes to Pharaoh, right? This is the big moment. He can't just tell Israel, hey, God's getting you out of Egypt. Like, he's got to talk to the guy in charge who's responsible for their enslavement. So he goes to Pharaoh and he says, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, let my people go so that they may celebrate a feast to me in the wilderness. So the word Lord there is all caps, which means it is God's covenant name, Yod He Vov Vav He. Now, some people have said that the Vav is really a Waw, so it's Yahweh. Other people have dug deep into a lot of text, Jewish texts, to discover, and they believe it's Yehovah. We don't know because the vowels were removed. So we know it's called a tetragrammaton, that four-letter word, Yod He Vav He. And so we can only assume what the vowels are. Personally, I've read a lot of stuff and watched a lot of videos and dug into some stuff, and I believe probably the closest is Yehovah, which is why when it was translated into Latin, there's no Y in Latin, but there's a J, so it's Jehovah or Jehovah. But anyway, the point is, anytime you see all caps of the word Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, that is his covenant name, Yod He Vav He, written in the Hebrew text. And so Pharaoh responds, who is Yehovah, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I don't know Yehovah, and besides, I will not let Israel go. So, of course, Egypt is a polytheistic country. They've got many gods, Horus and Set and Osiris and Anubis, and then Pharaoh was considered a god. So they've got all these gods that they worship, and when Moses shows up and says, hey, this God, the Lord, Yehovah, says, let my people go, Pharaoh's like, never heard of the guy, never heard of the God. And even if I had, still not going to do it. So he asks Moses again, hey, just let us go 3 days into the desert and the wilderness so that we can sacrifice, because otherwise he will strike us with plague or with sword. Like, God's going to punish us if we're not obedient. Pharaoh's like, I don't care. And then he's like, you know what? Your problem is which is always a great way to start a conversation. You know what your problem is? You're lazy. And so he says, look, you're going to keep the quota of bricks, but you're not going to give them the straw to make it. They're going to get their own straw because they've got so much time on their hands. They want to go sacrifice to their God. Forget that. They got to make the bricks, and they ain't getting the straw. And so then the Jewish foremen, who are in charge of some of the slave labor, they go to Pharaoh and like, look, I mean, you're killing us here. Like, there's no way we can meet the quota when we have to do all of this. And in when we got to get our own straw and make our own bricks, and you're not lightening the quota, in verse 17 he says, you are lazy, very lazy. For that reason you say, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. So now go and work, for you will be given no straw, but you must deliver the quota of bricks. They're not happy, right? They're not happy because they can't do it. Like, they were probably barely meeting the quota, if meeting the quota at all. Now they've got to get their own straw in order to make the bricks. And so as these foremen were leaving Pharaoh's company, Moses and Aaron were waiting for them. And so these foremen tell Moses and Aaron, you have made us repulsive in Pharaoh's sight and in the sight of his servants. You've basically put a sword in their hand to kill us. And so Moses goes and he prays and he said, Lord, lowercase, right? Capital L, but lowercase O-R-D, which is Adonai. Adonai, why have you brought harm to your people? Why did you even send me? Like, Pharaoh's not going to let him go. And now he's making it even worse for the people. Like, now they're going to turn on me. They are turning on me. And he says, ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he's done nothing but harm to your people, and you haven't rescued them at all. And that's how chapter 5 ends. This indictment against the Lord. In chapter 6, we see how the Lord responds. So Pharaoh is saying, hey, you sent me, and I feel like you didn't keep up your end of the bargain. Because Pharaoh's just making it worse. It's making me look bad, and I don't want to look bad. And it's basically putting, as the foreman said, it's putting a sword in the hands of these Egyptian taskmasters. They're going to kill people if they're going to beat them and whip them to death if they don't produce the number of bricks. And so what are we even doing here? Like, are you going to redeem your people or not? Chapter 6 provides God's response. That's Bible in a Minute. Exodus chapter 5.